I played baseball for about 15 years, and right around like high school time, that's when coaches really started getting people into the strength and conditioning side of your sport. And it was like encouraged that if you got really strong, that would be the element of your sport that kind of set you apart from the other people you were competing against. And I kind of took to it naturally and wanted to get good at it for baseball. But eventually my baseball career came to an end, and I found myself still really enjoying the training and lifting side of things. So I started working independently with my strength and conditioning coach that we had for baseball on more powerlifting and strength training things. And I noticed that I had gotten pretty good at it. I signed up for my first meet kind of on a whim and realized, how far I could take it if I really dedicated time to it seriously. And once I went to college, I got a powerlifting coach, and just since then it kind of took off. I quit baseball after my freshman year in college and just kind of stuck with the powerlifting side of things. I think that's a good question. I think you have to distinguish the difference between like motivation and the discipline, because obviously discipline is the ability to continue doing something even when you don't want to do it, right? There are plenty of days that I go in where my motivation to train is not that high, but really focusing on my end goal and kind of focusing on what there is in the future and what it is that I'm actually working toward is kind of what keeps me going. Knowing that like sometimes training is going to suck. Sometimes everything that's going on is going to feel overwhelming. But ultimately, like, you're working towards something that mattered to you when you started and every step along the way. And I think that for me, knowing that what I'm doing now is going to matter to me no matter how crappy I feel right now, how crappy I felt in the past, is kind of what keeps me going through those fluctuations, just because ultimately, I do what I do because I love it. And if I were to ever stop because of some sort of, emotional low point, I think I would probably end up never forgiving myself and would kick myself if I were to, stop because of that, because of how good it feels when things are going well. I mean, I've always been attracted to like sports and being athletic. I'd probably still be playing, some sort of sports in some, independent or adult league, probably if I weren't training for powerlifting, just because I really like being competitive, like pushing myself physically. So I'd probably still be keeping up with something like that, but in a way, I guess what I would lose if I didn't have powerlifting is like the community of people that I've met. It's been so like eye-opening and so gratifying to like go to these big meets or expos or whatever and like meet up with people who are so like-minded in the pursuit of fitness and the pursuit of reaching the pinnacle of the sport, but then also just like these people all have the same levels of motivation and discipline, and they all work so hard and care so much about what it is that they're doing. So I think I'd probably be okay and content on the athletic side of things and find something else to direct that physical energy toward. But in terms of what I'd lose, like I have the community that we have in fitness and powerlifting is something that I don't think I could replace. So I think I've definitely always been a really extreme person. Like when I dedicate myself to something, I kind of go and lean toward the most extreme side of things. And there were plenty of times growing up where like, brought my food scale everywhere. I would never eat out at restaurants. I, would never go out to party or whatever. Like I had my set of goals and priorities, and things that didn't align with that, I would just cut them all out. And then I think in a way it kind of was a blessing for me, because starting at that extreme over the years, I kind of realized like, okay, I can, I kind of like filtered out and got to this like more, I'm not going to say balance, because I still do, very strict with my food. I haven't, partied or drank in a very long time for the sake of training. But over the years, I've kind of learned like how to kind of swing the pendulum back a little bit more toward a less extreme way, meaning that it wouldn't, have any sort of negative effects on my relationships with people or anything like that. I don't think I have a specific proudest achievement. The reason I say that is I think I have a very on to the next mentality, whether what I just did had a great outcome or had a bad outcome. I've competed at Worlds, and that's something that, means a lot to me. I get to compete again at Worlds this coming summer, and that's something that really means a lot to me. I'm very excited for. Same with having, placed really highly at Nationals or won the Arnold. All of those things do mean a lot to me, but I don't think I have one particular moment that stands out, and I think that's mostly because I'll finish a competition or I'll finish an event and I'm just ready for the next thing, whether it went not as I expected or went exactly as I expected. I'm just always ready to improve upon what I did, learn from mistakes, whatever it might be, and just move on to the next one. I'm just kind of always seeking that next opportunity to perform. I mean, if we're being concrete about a specific goal, I would like to be the best 83 kilo power lifter in the world. I'm kind of in the mix right now with two other lifters, Brett Gibbs and Russell Orhe, and we're constantly pushing each other back and forth. It's, somebody hits something really big and then we just keep pushing the envelope. So that's something that, I'd ultimately like to overcome and be remembered for being, the best 83 kilo lifter. But obviously as years go on, you don't know what to expect. There's no guarantee of something like that. I'll obviously keep pursuing it. But also on the coaching side of things, I coach 50 athletes. I've sent people to Worlds, sent people to the Arnold, and that's something that I have complete control over. So I obviously want to be remembered as having given 100% intensity to my training and my competition, and ideally reach the pinnacle of my weight class. But independent of that, I definitely have 100% control of being the best possible coach for the athletes that I handle. And like I said, there's no external variables there. That's something that's 100% within my control. So if I can continue to develop the athletes that I have and send them to Worlds and make them feel like I'm giving them 100% and putting my best foot forward with their training, that's something that I'd like to be remembered for. No matter what, I don't ever want to remain in the same place, whether I'm progressing faster than I ever have or I'm just inching along. I need to make sure that I'm constantly progressing and growing.